watching Allah's Mat the Shadow Bear!
There's a drawer somewhere full of that shit.
You know, it's like this. It's like my, you know, and he's right. Absolutely right. But this is how I rate a book. And I did it to a Lasmat. I got through like 12 pages of a book and I put it down. I haven't read it. I still haven't finished it. I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good book, man. He's like, what? And I'm like, I don't need to read anymore. It was good. It was good. I got through like 2 pages of Shane's and Glorious Rex and I was like, this is shit. Can't do it.
That's high
That's-
praise, folks. That's high
That
praise.
that's if I can't even, because don't expect. I'm probably not going to finish your book, especially if there's a lot of words in it. I'm not going to
Words
finish
are hard. That's fair.
it. Yeah, they're hard, man.
I have this, but I couldn't. I don't know where it is, and I'm 99% sure this is bonus content. But I got a Last Mat's book. You can get it on Amazon. Road
Cool.
Warrior Drake. Yeah, so you can go on Amazon. You can pick it up. There is a soft cover version as well that you can get. If there's a mod in the chat that has the Amazon link, please drop it. I really dig Elasmat's art. I think it's great. I think it's fun. He's got that indie style I really like, and he's a cool dude. We met each other, obviously, at Heroes Con. We were there. So he's got bonus content in the back that he didn't have before.
Right
And the one that I have already. So this is kind of still plus I want to support Elasmat. So I like his stuff.
I think it's cool that he's got it on Amazon. He's
he's
getting
got
out
that
there
on
to more
Amazon.
people. That's great.
Yeah. So it's cool. Everybody go check it out, especially if you don't have it already. But if you do, even get it, and you get bonus content now. So it's pretty dope, and it was pretty affordable. So and it got to me
Nice.
pretty quickly. So yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As I get the actually correct template here, there we go. The Monday Monster Moratorium template. Welcome to the stream. As I get the camera turned on, because nothing is simple when I run a stream. Why would it be simple, right? Why would it be simple? There's no reason. But yes, how's everybody today? I'm wearing my wrestling mask because why not? Okay. I think it'd be visually fun for a little bit. Although it makes scratching my nose a little. Actually, no, because I got the hole right here. So I can scratch my nose doing this, right? And yes, I use the right finger for the reason, people. Especially for you, Kissy. You know what I'm doing, Kissy. You know what I'm doing. He's like, oh, the song is almost as long as that terrible French bullshit song Aladdin played. Well, just for that, I'm gonna play it soon. I didn't play it in the intro today, but I'll play it again tonight. Listen. And how's everybody in the chat? I see Kissifist Colorform in the chat, being Colorform as usual. Because why not? Richie Dube was here early. He probably bounced, but yeah, he was here earlier. Who else is in the chat that I've not seen? Okay, let's see. There's that's me. That's me. Let's see. Oh yeah, Desert Nomad. That's Woodrow. But Woodrow said he's going to be lurking and jerking, so he'll be listening in the background. So shout out to Woodrow, one of the many creators working on John Longbox's Crisis on Independent Earths, a wonderful idea by John Longbox, who had a very successful vending at a Comic Con in, I don't know if it's a Comic Con, but it is a comic convention that was held over at the this past weekend in Long Island. Him and Vaughn Coleman had a table together, so I'm sure they had a lot of stories to tell. But yeah, so we're working on that book, Crisis on Independent Earth. Road Warrior Drake is going to be in the book. One of many characters, one of many stories, but one of many ideas by a nice collective of writers and artists, including Mark Paulton, Chuck Dixon, our man Woodrow, of course, Aaron Sparrow. I believe Death Metal Hero is in it too. I believe. If not correctly, but I believe he's in there. Who else is in there? I think Tonic Mole might be there too. So, yes, a nice collective of artists and writers. So it'll be fun. Oh yeah, Angela Curry. I forgot to say hi to Angela. How you doing, Angela? It's good seeing you here. Thank you for supporting me, Angela. Let's see who else. Oh yeah, Monomachus in the chat. No, I'm not Goldust Monomachus. I'm a real threatening wrestler. See the horns? See the horns? I'm a threat. I'm a threat. I really am. When I'm a key, get it right. Get it right. Let's see. Let me see. I said hi to this nomad. So, okay. I said, oh, the chat's going. It's fast, but that's okay. That's a good complaint to have. Check your mic. Oh, wait. It's your bullshit gimp mask that's making your hard to understand. Kizzy. That was so funny. That was so hilarious. I literally lost my food. I almost upchucked. Just. Let's see. Anybody else in the chat that I did not call out? I think I called everybody out. No, I said, no, okay. See, I finally got Kansas to admit it. He said he's chucking more spears. Chuck him. Chuck him. Oh, Johnny Randall in the chat. Good seeing you here. He says, this man is obviously stable. Johnny, I don't know if you heard this, but I am this generation's Todd McFarlane. I'm an inspiration to this Communitah. So it takes a very stable and focused man to lead the charge, and I'm happy to lead the charge. So I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot to me. Top Lieutenant Massive Panda has made it to the chat. How's it going, Massive Panda? Top Lieutenant here. He is the second in command who will issue any agapes in case we need to issue an agape. No, wait. We have to stabilize the Communitah when they get violent. I must issue an agape. I haven't issued an agape in weeks, so it must happen. It must happen. No agape. Anyway, so yes, I'm a terrifying, intimidating wrestler when I put this mask on. So yeah, people had better appreciate it because that's how I roll. That's how I roll. So okay, so hope everybody had a great day today. I had an awesome weekend creatively. I got another page done for Pumpkin War Patch issue number 3, and I'll be setting the crowdfund for that later this week. And the goal is to get it ready for crowdfund either late this week or early next week. And we'll do the crowdfund on Kickstarter for Pumpkin War Patch issue number 3. In the meantime, issues 1 and 2 will be available as well. So if you haven't backed it, you want to catch up. These will be in the campaign as well. So there you go. But there was that, and there was also let me take. Oh no, should I take over? No, I want to keep it on for a little bit. I also finally got to finish Shadow over Innsmouth by H.P. Lovecraft, and we'll talk about that later because when I read it, it got me to thinking about this movie, Humanoids from the Deep. Like, you know what? Maybe I should rewatch that movie, and it'll be a fun movie to talk about for tonight's stream. So, let me take off my mask for a little bit. There we go. Okay, yeah. So, let's see. Oh, we got Nail Bunny. On a scale of 1 to 10, how unhinged is the last man tonight? I, sir, am immeasurable. You understand what I'm saying? It's immeasurably unhinged. You can't put a number on it. So that was your first mistake. The Communitah must be defended. I agree, man. See, man, you get it. You understand me. This Communitah has to be defended, has to be claimed, and I claim it. I claim it. But you get it, though, man. You understand it, so it's okay because we are among the enlightened, and we're hoping the rest can join us. Someday they'll join us. Someday. When? Don't know. But anyway, so let's see. Yes. Okay. KSS. Okay. I have the mask off a little bit now. Okay. Here. Take it off a little bit. It is a fun mask. I like this mask a lot. I bought this at the event that I was at the drive-in last month. I sold a few copies of Pumpkin War Patch at that event, and I bought this mask. I'm like, this is a dope mask. I love this. I love wrestling luchador masks. I used to own a Rey Mysterio mask, which was, they said it was one size fits all, but that shit was fucking tight on me. I couldn't even tie the back; it was so tight. But I used that Rey Mysterio mask, and I turned it into. I shot a silent movie with that mask. I actually had that silent movie saved, and one day I'm thinking about showing it to y'all people if you deserve it. But I actually make movies, and that was one of my first real serious movies, and I shot it on a VHS-C camera, but I shot it in black and white. At the time, I shot it on the sepia tone, and added sepia tone, whatever. And my friend did the original score for the movie, and it was one of my most lavish productions at the time. And then we're going to do movies on actual film stock. So that's a discussion for another day. But I want to show that movie one day to y'all. Shall I show it for the? Should I show it for the Halloween? I'm gonna talk about the Halloween thing. Maybe not today. Maybe today, maybe not. But most likely next week or the week after, as October gets nearby. The Road Warrior Drake Sleepathon, which most of this year, I was considering just not doing it. The idea of that stream is supposed to be chat engagement, and y'all supposed to be having fun with it. But I felt like, especially last year, it hasn't met that goal. So I was thinking about not doing it. But with me channeling my Rumble account and you know, baby, what's up? Yeah, I'll think about it. I have to make a decision in the next couple weeks. But I see Outlaw DX, aka Mood of Hell, in the chat. He says, wait, what did he say? What did he say? He said, put the mask on, Peter. No, not yet. I'll put it back on, though. I'll put it back on. Because KSS wants to see my perfect face, but you don't, so it's okay. I forgive you, though. It's not fun. It's not fun mask at all. It's a fun mask. It's a fun mask. Absolutely. 100% fun. It's absolute fun. Henry Beam says, is it beer o'clock yet? I want a beer. I think it is. Go grab a can of beer, Henry, and knock yourself out, because we're going to have a fun conversation. Drawing, of course, and more conversation. I was thinking about streaming last night, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, Sunday evening to like close to midnight on Sundays tends to be a good time window to watch like older horror movies or even read a horror story. It just felt that way. I mean, Saturday nights definitely. Saturday nights was more like the go-to, but I feel like also Sunday evenings was a good time to discuss at least more of the classical stuff. And I feel like it'd be fun to stream and talk to everybody about Shadow over Innsmouth by H.P. Lovecraft. I just finished reading it over the weekend, and I got a lot to talk about, but I enjoyed that story, and I'm going to dive into some more Lovecraft. I saw a video by Von Coleman where he talked about the stories by Lovecraft that connected the Cthulhu mythos. So yeah, we'll discuss that. Now, why am I bringing that up when we're talking about a movie called Humanoids from the Deep? Well, Humanoids from the Deep is a movie from 1980. I'm gonna get the chat, by the way. So I don't care if you're not having fun, Kizzy. Wait. What do you say about fun? What do you say about fun? Let me see. What do you say? We're supposed to be having fun, but I couldn't have fun because your Halloween special was literally on the day of Halloween. Yeah. Okay, well, if I do it, Kissy, we got a conversation. If I do it, it'll be the Saturday before Halloween. So there you go. So it'll probably be October 24th. 'Cause I think Halloween falls on the 31st on a Saturday again this year. So if it does that, I'll be streaming the week before on 24th. If I do the Halloween special, if I do it. Now, if I do it on Rumble, I'll have more of a pick of movies because they're not as strict with the copyright, so we should be able to get away with some stuff. So, so there's that. But so Humanist from the Deep. Why was I thinking about that movie when I read Shadow of Innsmouth? Well, what? Oh, fish? Oh, titties. Well, titties. I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Um, no, but Shadow of Innsmouth is about a guy who goes to town and is trying looking for his family heritage, and and I'll go more deep into it later. But it involves this race of fishmen called the Deep Ones. And as I was reading the story and then reading the events, I'm thinking to myself, this reminds me a little bit, loosely, of Humanoids from the Deep, a movie that was made in 1980, directed by Barbara Peters, female director, and that's why is that relevant? Because Roger Corman hired. This is a Roger Corman film. He hired this woman to direct this horror movie, and he told her, "I want the men to be slaughtered and the women to be raped." Those were his instructions. There's actually a 20-minute video on YouTube about the making of this movie, and Roger Corman. Those were his exact words to her. He says, "I want the men brutally killed and the women raped." Well, she shot the scenes with the men getting brutally killed, but not so much the scenes of the women getting raped. So he hired the second unit director, Jim Spear or something or whatever. I know his first name is Jim or James, but he hired this guy who was second unit director to Barbara Peters to reshoot scenes that feature more nudity and more violence. And that decision is the reason people even talk about this movie because the story is kind of it drags a bit, and you can tell it has that like low B movie low budget uh schlock, low special effects. But then when you see the added scenes, it's like, oh, there's a little bit more prestige, but a lot of shock, a lot of exploitation, and maybe I'm getting older, but yeah, there's a little more sleaze that needed to be happening in this movie. But again, that creative decision is why this movie is still being talked about by people today. KSS says, why does the last man insist on wearing shirts one size too small so he can see his headlights? It's disturbing. Because I have a body, Kizzy, a beautiful body. Okay, you wish you had this body. You wish I could send you a DM of me in my underwear in bed, enticing you. You wish, but you ain't getting it. My body ain't cheap. Kizzy.
Because Lady Shadowban likes it.
There you go.
Duh.
That's it. So my body's not cheap. You understand that? Do I have to drill it in your head, Kizzy? Do I have to? I hope I don't have to, because you derailed the conversation about this movie. Starring Doug McClure. Yes, the Doug McClure of At the Earth's Core and from The Land That Time Forgot. The Amicus films that feature giant monsters in rubber suits. Which I like. I don't talk about that in a disparaging way. We have some film critics that do talk about it in a disparaging way, and they're retards. When people talk about it like that, they're retards. Sublimation is every bit as viable and legit a special effect as stop motion. Different type, but still, it's very legit. Especially if the suits are well crafted and the performance is pretty spot on. Okay, let's see. He hired Rob Bottin to do special effects before Bottin did John Carpenter's The Thing. Yeah, and Bottin delivers. The special effects in the movie, the suits of the creatures are well made, well crafted suits. The gore effects are pretty solid. So special effects wise, the movie delivers. Now it's no secret that they only made it. I think they only made one suit, one full complete monster suit, and a couple of like semi-completed suits. So they only had really 3 suits made for the movie, but because of the clever editing and the camera work, it gives you a good impression that there's a whole bunch of these things swarming people. And we're talking about towards the third act. KS says he's Doug McClure. You might remember him from such films as The Land of Time Forgot. Yes, yes, that Doug McClure. Yes, who is the inspiration for the Troy McClure character from The Simpsons, voiced by the late great Phil Hartman. Stop lolling, Jabba. Stop it. I'm having a serious conversation with the chat. Stop it. Oh, we have Fiona Wolf in the chat. She goes, "This chat is blue." There's some grays in there. There's some grays, and as the night progresses, more grays will come in, and there'll be a balance. Well, I'd like to have it tilted more towards the grays. I don't like a chat full of blues. I'd rather have more grays. So, it's coming, Fiona. It's coming. Don't worry. It's totally coming. He buys his clothes in the short and small store. You know, Kizzy. No one asked you, Kizzy. No one asked you. And not only Java is LOA, but he does it with a typo. With a typo. That was not necessary damage. Not necessary. So Barbara Peters does the movie, right? Submits it to Corman. They're kind of bored with it and say, we got to spice it up. So he gets the second unit director to add more violence, more nudity, more sex, and the result is a movie that, at the time when it was released, people thought was like sleazy, trashy. They didn't like it, but it made money. It made money for New World Pictures, and it's also one of the earliest films by score composer James Horner, the guy who who composed the music for Aliens and The Abyss, Jurassic Park, and the Avatar films. A lot of people don't know this, but James Horner, along with James Cameron, got their start with Roger Corman. Corman was pretty good in terms of like cultivating talent, future talent for movies, and a lot of people that had lucrative careers in Hollywood started off with Corman. So he had an eye for talent. For what it's worth, he definitely had an eye for talent. He was pretty good like that. Let's see here. Vic Morrow Vic Morrow was in it a couple years before he was decapitated in Twilight Zone the movie. Yeah, so this features one of Dick Morrow's final complete roles. I say complete because he wasn't killed in this movie like he was in Twilight Zone too soon. Well, I mean, it's a tragic chapter in filmmaking when we talk about Vic Morrow's unfortunate demise on the set of the Twilight Zone movie. But he was in this one. He had a pretty sizable role, and he wasn't like the antagonist, but he did play like an antagonist type role. But then, like all the people towards in the film got together and realized, you know what, we got to put our differences aside and fight these damn creatures. James Horner was phenomenal as Master Horner. Yeah, James Horner's music is very. He also did the music for I think Land Before Time. No, yeah, Land Before Time, with Littlefoot and that cartoon with Don Bluth. That has been good music too. Horner, I mean, he does get respect. I think he was an Academy Award winner, I believe. But no, he had some incredible movies in his resume, and he wouldn't have believed that he did the score for this movie, Humanoids from the Deep. Name Lord Woodrow says Shigama Kizo Sapateka. There's a. I'm not. Yeah, I know. I botched. I can do that. I'm allowed to botch shit. I'm allowed to botch shit because too much botchery in this Communitah. So I'm a botch. Bocce balls. Like at work, can't type too much. Yes, we saw you earlier saying you're lurking and jerking. So feel free to keep the stream in the background. I'll try to keep it as professional as possible and allow you to like focus on your work so that you can knock stuff out while I discuss Humanoids from the Deep. Okay, it says James Horner wrote the music. He would do music for many major films. He literally lifted from himself in every movie. He wasn't exactly John Williams. Well, here's the thing, Kizzy. A lot of these score composers do lift from their own stuff. It's every score composer. Like you can listen to John Williams' music, and you could go back and hear similarities between Superman and some Star Wars. Like some similarities here or there. You can hear, or even like Superman and Indiana Jones. Like you could hear some similarities. Some, not all, but you can hear it. Akira Ifukube, the original score composer for the Godzilla films, he lifted a lot of his older films and reused it for his newer films. Still sounded great though, but he did do that. A lot of score composers do that. They will lift either entire melodies or certain notes from previous music when they're creating new ones. Yes, Javage, I'm boring you to death, and I hope you die. Javage, die. What was I saying? Oh, Tommy says the humanoids look like a laughter. Oh, Tommy, that is so witty. You're such a witty man, Tommy. You're so fucking witty. So yes, humanoids from the deep. Here's one of the covers. This is actually a copy of the VHS cover, which I thought was pretty cool. And it goes by the name Monster. So the story is that they were shooting a movie called uh I think it was called like uh In the Dark or Darkness from the Deep or something like that. And the cast was shooting one movie, and then they inserted a lot of the gore effects from the monsters later on during the reshoot, as well as the sex stuff. And when they saw the movie, they were like, "Wait a minute, this is not the movie we shot." So a lot of the cast members didn't even realize what changes what were put in the movie until they went to see the film, and it was like, "Oh, this is not the movie we were watching." The director Barbara Peters for a long time swore the movie off, and she was quoted as saying she didn't even want to talk about it. Like she was upset about the changes, but Corman told her, you're gonna brutally kill the men and you're gonna rape the women." She did the men part, but she didn't do the woman part. And even Corman talked about the interesting factor with the disparity there. How this female director was quick on showing the men getting slaughtered, but not quick on showing the women getting raped. So that's why he got this guy James, the second unit director, to do the rape scenes, which came out the way they came out, obviously. Now, the women in the movie are attractive, but I'm at an age where like I don't really care for nudity anymore. I don't actually. I never really cared for nudity in films. I never did. It was. I always thought it was such a. Um, it was like an obvious and cheap ploy to get people to watch something. I mean, it worked, but for a lot of people, but I just didn't like it. I'm not one of those guys that likes nudity in movies. I can't. I just and now when it comes to any movie with sex scenes, I wince. I'm like, oh, why am I watching this? And I think what happens with Watchmen, Zack Snyder's Watchmen ruined it for me because there's that one scene, and I don't know if it's in the theatrical version. It's definitely director's cut. That one scene where like Night Owl and uh what the fuck what is her name? Scepter? What the fuck her name's? I don't know. But they're having that 20-minute sex scene, and I'm like, why am I watching this? Like, why is this even in the movie? What is being advanced story wise with this? Yeah, we get it. They're having a hookup. So what? Like, why are we having to spend this amount of time watching every crevice of their body doing what they're doing? Like, it was very uncomfortable. And I'm like, this I can't be the only one. And when I looked up online with Watchmen, I'm like, yeah, a lot of people talked about this scene and not really in a good way. It was like, what was the purpose of it other than Zack Snyder being a pervert? I don't know, but um, yeah. But going back to this, like, uh, they they they're like, okay, we're gonna put these scenes in here because we have a lot of people that are paying money to see a movie, and a lot of them are perverts. So we're gonna give them what they want. So they did. They gave them what they want. Brian Chris guy says, "What's up, everybody? Humanoids from the Deep is an awesome movie. Great gore effects with Rob Bolton. Yeah, Rob Bolton getting the love today. Regarding special effects, yeah, special effects definitely deliver. Money shots of galore. There's a decapitation scene. There is a lot of dismemberments. There's a scene where a guy gets his chest ripped up. Another guy getting his chest ripped, not his chest, his back slashed, and you see the innards of the back. Even like the monsters themselves, when they get shot or stabbed, there's a lot of gore. So, I mean, it's not the. I wouldn't put it among the top 10 goriest films ever, but for 1980, it's definitely gorier than the Friday the 13th movie that was out back during that day. So, I definitely say, for at least during that time, definitely among the top goriest films made. And that was thanks in part to a decision that Roger Corman made to get back and say, we got to fix this and we got to add this here or there. And yeah, I like the gore scene. The gore scenes were pretty fun. And to me, it made the movie because up until the third act, the movie was kind of like dragging along, and um, it just felt like a lot of talking. And I didn't mind the discovery scene where they talk about like where these creatures came from, and and the female scientist was studying the DNA, and she explained how these creatures came to be. And apparently, she I think Anne Kel's the actress who played the scientist. She was her character like knew about these creatures, but I guess her peers thought she was a Looney Tunes. And then when they finally get the body of one of these creatures, they bring it to the lab. Now she's like, I got the proof right here. We're gonna tell the world that these things exist. And they still don't want her to do it because they still like are not sold. But I mean, good night. You got a dead carcass on your table of a fish monster. I think people have the right to know. So KSS says she was the first case of someone being directed by Barbara Peters. Uh, first case of someone being fired in Hollywood for refusing to grade. Um, yes, sex sells. I mean, Roger Corman knew his audience, so he didn't lie. He knew his audience. You never see grape seeds out of Red Lobster, says Tim Olson. I don't know which Red Lobster you've been to, Timothy, but you're not going to the fun ones. Anyway, Mazepana says, yes, I remember seeing Watchmen for the first time, and that scene kind of went on. I was like, okay. But as KSS says, sex sells. Sex sells, but I think there's a rhyme or reason to it. You know, what do I know? I'm a prove.
Some people haven't had the real good stuff.
I mean, I get
the real kind that's good.
I get the real kind that's good, but no, but I thought look, I think well, okay, who am I? Right, I'm just one guy giving an opinion, right? So who am I? Who am I? Anyway, I don't remember this movie. Says Andrea Curry. Well, it's on YouTube. You can find this on YouTube. Humanoids from the Deep. Make sure though, if you find the movie on YouTube, make sure that you get the version with the title Monster. And why is that important? So the movie was available in the U.S. In a cut version for a long time. Like the decapitation scene was cut. I think some of the rape scenes were cut for later viewings. But the European version was uncensored throughout the years. So they had a version in Europe called Monster. The title card says Monster, and underneath it, it goes with small print Humanoids from the Deep. So that version is the uncut version. When they released it here in the US on Blu-ray and DVD, they released the uncut version. The title screen in the movie said Monster, and underneath it in small print, Humanoids from the Deep. So make sure when you watch this movie on YouTube, it has the title Monster. That's how you know you're watching the uncut version. It's a little bit of trivia, but the things you find out when you actually prepare for a stream. But yeah, it drags. But once you get towards once they're on the island and they finally discover these creatures and what they're actually really planning on doing, it starts to pick up from there. And then the money shots happen, the gore effects, the creatures, and the murders. It picks up after that. Chris Scott says Corbin also demanded that stupid giant maggot grape scene in Galaxy of Terror. So yeah, I haven't seen Galaxy of Terror. I have a copy I think somewhere in my files, but I knew about that scene. I haven't seen any stills of it. I haven't seen any clips of it. So I'm like, maybe I better prepare myself when I do watch that movie for that scene because I knew about that scene. I'm like, yeah, I read about it. I'm like, yeah, you know. So yeah. Let's see. Well, I'm trying to. Chat's going. My mouse goes. Okay. Okay. Humanoid from the Deep. This case says is probably one of Corman's goriest movies. Oh yeah, absolutely. It is definitely one of Corman's goriest for sure. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. But yeah, definitely, absolutely. Chris Goss says, and nothing but love for Roger Corman. His Poe movies rule, but as a producer, he was more about the Benjamins than art. I'm so glad you mentioned Poe. Chris Goss. I was at Cracker Barrel yesterday with Lady Shutterman, and you go into the shop, you see all kinds of oddities, and you're like, no, I'm not gonna spend money. I'm not gonna spend money. And then there was a section of Halloween stuff, and I was hoping they had something that I could probably get just to say that I bought at Cracker Barrel. And just when I thought, okay, I guess I'll set up for the coffee mug, I see this: the Great Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. So I got an exclusive Cracker Barrel hardcover of this. So I'll be looking forward to reading this. I was never the biggest Edgar Allan Poe growing up, but I'm like, you know what? It's been years since I've read Poe. Maybe I should read it again with a newer mind frame and see if I really appreciate his storytelling. So I'll be looking forward to reading this. But I want to finish my, or at least continue my H.P. Lovecraft reading. I've always had preferred Lovecraft over Poe, but there are also different types of writers. They're not the same type, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I was like, okay, I'll get this, and it's a wonderful addition to my library, so I look forward to reading it. So yeah, shout out to Chris Scott for that. Uh, he also says, I was shocked at how gnarly the monster cut is. Yeah, that's the cut that is the uncut European version. That's the complete uncut version of the movie. So that's the movie that if you see it on YouTube, you want that title screen on there because that's how you know you're getting the uncut version. I have with me a good friend of mine. This is one of the monsters from the movie. This is from the an action figure that I bought at Heroes Con. Was it 2 years ago? No, Heroes Con was a year ago. 2025. I bought this at Heroes Con.
Been twice.
Heroes Con.
Right. I went with you the first year, and then so you've been twice. So which?
The 2025 one.
Okay.
Yeah, I did say that 2025. So, okay, so starting to buffer again. I'm noticing that the choppy. And you guys, I nothing I can do with in terms of the choppiness. You'll have to just bear with me for a second. Let me just catch up with the chat first. Let's see. Okay. Travis Cook says no. He says the last one. You look like you are in 2006. Yeah, no, I see it. I see it. So it's gonna be one of those. But okay, now I see it again. Now we're clear again. But yeah, no, yeah, this is the fish monster, the humanoid from the movie, and I bought this along with the green slime from the same company the company that produced these figures. And I think each figure got something back. I think 30 something dollars or something, which is pretty pricey for figures are small. But these are pretty rare figures, so I'm like, you know what? They're gonna be more expensive in the years if I don't get them then. So together, I spent about $60 on these two figures, but it was worth it because green slime rules. Shout out to Athena Finger, the granddaughter of Bill Finger, who was the co-writer for the movie, and of course the humanoid from the Humanoids from the Deep. So, and I'll be reviewing this movie for the Road Warrior Drake Horrible Art Film Review book, which is what I'll be drawing in a bit. I'll be drawing. So this will be a different style of drawing. I'm going to be drawing a little bit of the monster from the Humanoid movie and a little bit of Road Warrior Drake. And that's going to go into the segments that in the book where they review the movie, or Drake reviews the movie, I should say. Uh, who's in the secret gay op Discord group, Cabbage? Let me see. Oh, we have El Gusto in the chat. What's going on, El Gusto? Good seeing you there. Hello there. But are those customs? They have to be. No, these are actual figures. As a matter of fact, I guess I have to look at the name of the company that produced it. Let me see. I can tell you right now the name of the company because you can find it. Let's see. Humanoids from the Deep. Let's see. Humanoids from the Deep. Say figure. Oh, apparently it's a 1996 diecast figure but that's not the figure I'm looking at. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, the name of the company, here it is. Monstars. Okay. The name of the company is Monstars. Manstars. So Monstars is a company that produced this figure as well as the green slime figure. So just look up Humanoids from the Deep and Monstars, and you'll find this online. It's still available. There are some third party stores that are selling them. So if you don't have it and you want it, just go ahead and Google it. Humanoid from the Deep figure from Monstars, and you'll find it. And you may even get the green slime too. So there you go. Okay, it says I first read Poe in middle school. We read A Telltale Heart. I thought, finally, something good and scary. Not like that stupid Ricky Tikki Tavi and its stupid onomatopoeia. F you, Ricky Tikki Tavi. Ricky Tikki Tavi. When I hear that, I know it was based on a story, but I think about the cartoon that was done by Chuck Jones of Looney Tunes fame. Ricky Tikki Tavi. So remember the trailer for that cartoon scared me. I don't know. No, it didn't scare me. It was just like, oh, it's kind of frightening. So but it was a woman trailer. Jolly Green Comics. All right, now hold on a minute. What is this? It's called a live stream on YouTube, in which I discuss things, and you people in the chat humor me by engaging in conversation and helping my algorithm. It's um, a wonderful, uh, what's the word? Transaction. It's a transactional relationship between me and you guys in the chat that aren't chucking spears at me. All right, so, but yeah, that's pretty much the story of Humanoids from the Deep. It's creature feature, Suitmation, wonderful special effects by Rob Bottin. Definitely an exploitation movie. So get used to seeing a bunch of girls in undress, in some cases very undressed. The rape scenes are kind of uncomfortable to watch, but they're not like, they don't go on for too long at least. They just show enough to know that, yeah, that's what they're doing to these girls. But the reason why they're raping the girls is because they're trying to breed their race. They're trying to uh, go into the next evolution of these creatures' lives, as was discussed by the scientist early on when she tells about how uh, they had eaten. They started off as these simpler organisms that ate these genetically altered DNA salmon, and that caused them to become these fish monsters. So by them forcefully mating with our women, they breed new creatures and continue the species, but in more advanced format. And the final shot of the movie is one of the female victims from earlier on, who ended up pregnant by this creature, and she gives birth to the this disgusting worm creature in a scene very similar to Alien, chest burster and everything. But it's very disturbing because she sees the baby coming out, this monster wormish looking baby coming ripping up to her, and by ripping I mean the stomach tears open, blood everywhere. Her mouth is bleeding, but her eyes look all fucked up. Like it's got like this like she has like demonic looking pair of eyes in that scene. It actually really adds to the shock of that scene. Very effective and in your face way to end that movie. That from beginning to end, you know you watched a horror film. This is definitely a horror film. And I remember like when I was watching it for the first time, and you get to the scenes where Doug McClure and his wife and kid are like walking through the battered carnival scene with people that are dead or being injured or being helped by people that are still able to. And he looks over the carnage, and you're thinking, okay, well, this is a typical Doug McClure ending. But then it goes into that final scene with the girl in the operating table, and she's giving birth, and that comes up, and it's like, holy shit! And I was like, what the fuck did I watch? That scene made me go, what the fuck is this movie? What is this movie? Humanoids from the Deep. I was like, what the hell did I watch? And I'm like, this movie, there's gotta be more of this movie than what I realized because I expected, I expected a bland generic Fishman movie, um, not not similar to the Italian film Island of the Fishmen, which when it came to the States became Screamers. That's another conversation for another day. But I expected something similar to that with, pain, maybe a little adventure, maybe you got monsters, maybe if we're lucky we'll get a couple minutes of screen time with the actual monsters. No, they went balls to the wall with the monster footage, and that ending was like, holy crap. And it's one of those endings where it's like it stays with you for a long time. And I was like, yeah, this movie is all kind of jacked up, but this is why people talk about it. Master Panda says, yes, the amount of lifeless, boring crap that's passed off as American classics, they made us read back in school. No wonder kids don't like reading. Make them read some good stuff. Yeah, I think so. I think so. You were caught in 140p. 144p allows us as Jabbage. I don't care. You don't deserve more than 144p, Jabbage. You don't deserve 1080p. BTD says, oh, hello, BTD. Welcome to the stream. I haven't seen you in a minute. He says, Linda Shane as the beach queen in Humanoids from the Deep was something special. Actually, she got the role. She was cast in that role by the second unit director because they had already shot the film. Barbara Peter had already shot the film. So when the second unit director took over for the gore and other such scenes, he hired Linda Shane specifically for that scene, and he told her, you're going to be showing your tits in the movie. So, but no, she was very attractive. She's still attractive today. Like when she was being interviewed for the movie for the making of video, like she talked about that, and I'm like, oh, she's pretty. She aged pretty well. She looks good for her age. Um, and she was very sexy in the movie too. So, but yeah, she was hired by the second unit director for that scene. KSS Ricky Tikitabi was a book. I know that, Casey. I know. I said it. I made it clear about it being a story. I knew it carefully. I already knew that. Don't pretend like you're smart because I already said it first. But anyway, I'll read the rest of your comment just to humor you. You say by Kipling. To your last one, there are these things called books. These are stories. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. This is for you.
You know what they say, nobody gives a hummer like a gummer.
I hope you sleep on that tonight. I did. BTD says this film is obviously also inspired partly by H.P. Lovecraft's Shadow over Innsmouth. Like I said, I was reading Shadow over Innsmouth this weekend, and it made me think about this movie. But it's funny, everywhere I look, when I was reading about Humanoids from the Deep, none of them mentioned any of the H.P. Lovecraft connection. I'm like, this clearly was inspired in some part by Shadow over Innsmouth, with the deep ones mating with the human females for the advancement of the species, as well as taking over the town. And I'm not sweaty, Jabbage, not sweaty. What the hell did I just watch? It's one of the best reactions you can have to a film. This film definitely did it for me. It made me go, "What the fuck?" And I think a lot of people felt that way. Again, that's why to this day people still talk about this movie. Because take away the sex, take away the gore, take away the violent deaths, and it's a very bland story about a small village fighting these fish creatures that are trying to take over the town. So yeah, it's a bland story, nothing earth shattering, but the added scenes, the gore, the blood, all that stuff. It's like holy crap. It's like the hell that I freaking watched. So, but yeah, I recommend it. If you're a horror film fan, definitely recommending it. And yes, we're going to be getting to drawing some late shot, man, for sure. I just wanted to talk a little bit about this because I felt like I wanted to have a conversation on camera and discuss the movie and get the reaction from the chat that I wanted. The last man says, Kay says, "Why are you bugging out your eyes? You look like Marty Feldman." Well, you know what? Marty Feldman's a good actor, so I consider that an honor, an honor. You should know better than that. Chris Goss says, "I was a literature major at university, and some of the classics are boring crap, but some of them are dope as fuck. Robinson Crusoe is a rough read, but Poe, Hawthorne, Cervantes, Dumas, Hugo are awesome." Yeah, I have a lot of catching up to do, but definitely on my H.P. Lovecraft phase right now. So I'm gonna read Dagon next because there's only a few short pages. So Dagon's next on my list, and then I was recommended to read I think Whisper in the Dark, Call of Cthulhu before I do The Mountains of Madness. Christopher says Doug McClure had a big head. It's unsettling. He creeps me out. It's the hair. He has like this. Something about his hair is just like boom. It's there. Like here's his head. Here's his hair. So yeah. So that is McClure in a nutshell. Doug McClure. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get the pad ready. Yes, the drawing pad. As we embark on a journey to do some drawing. And this is going to be a drawing specifically for the Horrible Art Film Review book as reviewed by Road Warrior Drake himself. Yeah, so I'll be drawing the monster, and I'll also be drawing Road Warrior Drake. And I'm wondering if I should do the monster in full ink or if I should do stipple for the monster. Maybe I'll do stipple. I got my pens right here. So I think I'll do stipple for the monster. And then Drake gets the full line art treatment, the full heavy ink treatment, to differentiate between the cartoony and the absurd. So, as I move get some papers out the way, as I move the keyboard, get my paper ready. Don't forget the link. What link you talking about? The link to the Amazon for the hardcover for Street Champion Road Warrior Drake, which you know you should get. It's a wonderful addition to y'all's library. If you're an independent comic book lover, it's got the original story of Street Champion Road Warrior Drake plus 30 pages of supplemental material, a little bit of history of the Drake, including some older drawings I did. This one from 1998, and some newer drawings I did over the years after the first book was completed. So you're definitely going to want this beautiful hardcover. The link is pinned in the chat. So if you haven't already, go to the Amazon link and get Street Champion Road Warrior Drake, the anniversary edition, as I call it. This is going to be a drawing stream, says Kissy. I did put it in the title of the stream. I said, boring Communitah draw stream after Monday Monster Moratorium. I did put it there, Kissy. Am I going to draw a baboon or a coon? Neither, Kissy. Neither. I draw neither. A bakuni? She called it a bakuni. A bakuni. Anyway. Massive Pandas. I'm going to catch you for this, but if you're having trouble sleeping, just flip to literally any page of the Grapes of Wrath, start reading, and you'll be asleep before the second sentence. Damn. You're not wrong, though. Like, some books, like, you read it, it'll knock you out. Actually, reading at bedtime, it does put you to sleep. That's why people read their books at bedtime, because it helps them go to sleep. This is a horror book, yes. Well, not me. I can, unless it's a book that, like a literary adaptation of Humanoids from the Deep. No, it should not keep me awake. But yeah, Shadow over Innsmouth. That was a good. I'm going to talk about Shadow over Innsmouth in a second. I'm sure that people in this chat have read Shadow over Innsmouth. And hold on, I'm just getting a box so I can plug in the lights. Here we go. Gotta love live streaming setups. But that's how I roll, right? Because that's how organic this experience is. It's a very organic experience. So let's see here. We put the camera this way. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we have a template here. There we go. East of Eden was great. Of Mice and Men. I like that Mice and Men. I think the Black Pony, the Black Horse. What was the book that John Steinbeck wrote about the horse? Because that was the first book I read, and I really didn't care for it. And I'm like, I'm not a John Steinbeck fan. But then I read Mice to Men, and I was like, okay, John Steinbeck, I get his thing now. I get it. So I did enjoy Mice to Men. So here's the model for my drawing, the monster from the humanoid from the deep, or he is the humanoid from the deep. So I'm gonna show you guys close up. There it is. Oh, I should put my glasses on for this. And I had everything with me. So, okay. So, Shadow over Innsmouth, which is one of H.P. Lovecraft's more classic stories. And I was reading reviews of it. After I read it, of course, I didn't want to spoil it for myself, but I was reading reviews of Shadow over Innsmouth, and people talked. The reviews specifically mentioned Lovecraft, not really known for his action sequences, but they were quick to point out how well the action sequences in the book were well written. By action sequences, it's referring to the scenes where the narrator is escaping from something, who is later revealed to be the quote unquote deep ones. So the deep ones are a fabled race of fish creatures who are humanoid, very humanoid, and who have their own culture and everything, who are part of the cult of Dagon, and their goal is to take over the world, take over the town that they're in, and they're doing it through breeding with the human population. As a matter of fact, I think in the scene, there's a scene where the narrator is talking to this guy named Zadok, who he's the town drunk, but he's the one that has all the information and the knowledge about the history of these deep ones. And he goes into it with them, and he explains like the history of the town and what happened to the people in the town and why the town, not many people are left in town, and those that are left have a very distinct feature about them. They're very bug-eyed, flat nose, oval head. So he's quick to point out how very inhuman they look. And his reason for that is because they're the product of breeding between female humans and the deep ones. Not too dissimilar from the humanoids from the deep and their intentions with our women. Not too dissimilar. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to get to work on doing the format and the layout for the horrible art book review, so I can start doing that, and then that way I'll have it's too small. I will have the book being worked on. So by the time I'm ready to start working on publishing and everything, it'll be mostly done. So it's set for next year. The Red Pony. Okay, The Red Pony by John Steinbeck. Yes. So um, not a fan of that book. I found that book, if my recollection serves me correctly, I found that book kind of like a little too gory for a story about a girl and her horse. So, but I also barely remember that book because it was read to me during second or third grade. Again, I remember not liking it. I remember I was like, eh. But of Mice and Men, I did like. I thought that was pretty solid. Yeah, it says, alas, that translates to fish faced weirdo who was fired on cruises for stealing staples. One day, Kissy, one day, that's going to bite you in the ass. And when it does, I'll be there laughing at you. Mugen1 says, hail to you, Mugen1. Good seeing you in the chat. I am drawing the humanoid from Humanoids from the Deep. Another movie, and I talked about this earlier, another movie dealing with fishmen is The Island of the Fishmen, which is an Italian movie with Barbara Bach. And the funny thing about that movie is, in its original Italian version, it's less of a horror movie, more like an adventure movie featuring um, these fish men, humanoid creatures, more as like a backdrop than anything to the actual story. But when it was released to the U.S., they actually shot a new prologue with Cameron Mitchell, and that prologue was very gory, and that prologue is the reason that movie has an R rating. Because otherwise, in the its original version, Island of the Fishman is a pretty tame movie. Okay. Mostly just listening as I prep more Royal Road issues and chapters 4, Far Shore of Zots. This is Fiona Wolf. Well, it's always good to have you here, Fiona. And I always pay attention to what you write on X because it's kind of informative for me. So that's always cool. Okay. So I know you guys can barely see it, so I'm gonna start the simple now. Again, it's not gonna be a whole body shot because I'm gonna insert the review of the movie with this, and then on this side I'm gonna draw Road Warrior Drake. The monster will be stipple, and Drake will be heavier ink. But if you want to see what Road Warrior Drake looks like in stipple, I am doing the Road Warrior Drake stipple Storytime comic. That's gonna take me a few months to work on, but it is getting worked on. So it'll be a fun project. Lots in story. So you got Road Warrior Drake doing the Stipple Storytime book. You got him appearing in John Longbox's Crisis of Independent Earth, and I'm here doing the art for the Road Warrior Drake Horrible Art film review book, which is the horror review book story. That is true, Fiona. Our generation is very nihilistic. And speaking of nihilism, since we're going to bring it up, because I don't know how to bring it up in a monster stream, but you bring up nihilism. So I got to see M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable trilogy, and the first one, Unbreakable, is probably my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film. I think it's probably his best one. People say Sixth Sense, which is horror related. Sixth Sense was his best. Um, no, I'm gonna say Unbreakable was his best because that one has probably the most solid narrative of all his movies, and it's got great performance by Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. Both deliver some great performances in that movie, and this goes to show you how much of a likable actor Bruce Willis really is. He sells the role really well. He plays a character named David Dunn, and who had an accident many years prior to him getting married, and it turns out that the accident helped force his decision to not play football because his wife didn't want him to play football because she didn't want him to get injured. But it turns out he can't be injured because he has a superpower that prevents him from getting injured. And Samuel L. Jackson's character is the one who goes by the name of Glass. He's the one that convinces Bruce that you are a superhero. Don't hide who you are. Unleash your gifts, and he does. He finally unleashes his gift, only to find out later on that Glass, the character that was encouraging him to be all he could be, was an actual fact, like a mass murderer. So that was a big twist, but it was a twist that you watch it to this day, and it doesn't hurt the film at all. It doesn't ruin the film's repeated viewing because you could still watch it in a straight narrative and just like it's not like the Sixth Sense where like you watch Sixth Sense and you know that Bruce is not interacting with anybody there because he's dead. Whereas in Unbreakable, the twist doesn't ruin. Well, not that the Sixth Sense was ruined by that twist. It's just for me anyway. Like I watched that movie and I already know he's not there with people, so it kind of slightly alters my viewing of it. No, Kansas Humanoids from the Deep is not going to have his way with Drake. You sick pervert. That's what it is, Master Pally. It's the rewatch value. I don't think it has that rewatch value that Unbreakable does. And Signs was solid too. I do like Signs. Yeah, Signs was a very solid movie. The aliens and Signs aren't aliens; they are actually demons. Now, we watched that film with that mind. You're welcome. Oh, okay. I will do that. I will do that. So yeah, so the second film in the Unbreakable trilogy was Split with James McAvoy, And you don't know that's a movie in the Unbreakable universe until you watch the ending when Bruce Willis makes a cameo. But James McAvoy plays a character who is later named the Horde, who's got all kinds of like what do you call it? Split personality. Yeah, he's got split personalities, and he's got like 24 confirmed personalities, including like a 9-year-old boy and a woman named Patricia, who's the ringleader of them. And ultimately, the split personalities are prepping him to take on this form called the Beast, which enhances his strength, and he literally becomes like a Hulk type like not a monster, but he turns into this like uh, berserk, not creature because he still looks human, but he definitely takes on an animalistic persona, and he's able to bend iron bars, and he ends up slaughtering uh, 2 young girls as a result of it. But yeah, that movie ends with Bruce Willis' character David Dunn, aka the Overseer, uh, seeing that he's not alone, that there are other people in the world that have some kind of like superpower. And then the third film, Glass, with McAvoy, Bruce Willis, and the return of Samuel L. Jackson as Glass, where they're all institutionalized because there's an organization trying to eradicate these quote unquote heroes. And I won't really ruin the movie itself per se, but let's just say, going back to Fiona's point about nihilism, that movie ends on a very somewhat nihilistic tone, and I hated it. I didn't hate the movie. I think the first 2/3 of the movie are pretty solid, but I hated the choices that M. Night Shyamalan made with the direction he went towards the third act of the film, and it was very unsatisfying. Very unsatisfying. And it goes back to the whole nihilism thing. It's like it doesn't work. It really just cheapens the emotional investment you get when watching Unbreakable and watching Unbreakable, Split, and the first 2/3 of Glass. KS says the others are better than Sixth Sense. I agree. You know, I agree with that. I think the others is a better film than Sixth Sense. You're right. I forgot about the others, and that's a movie that also relies on a twist. But I think the twist doesn't really hurt the film's replay value because Nicole Kidman sells that role. So I did enjoy the others. That was a good, solid M. Night Shyamalan movie. But no, I think Unbreakable is his best, with Split being a close second. I think those two movies really are well made. And Split was like an independent movie because Unbreakable was a studio film, but Split was not. Split was an independent movie that he did, and he had to get permission from, I think it was Universal that released Unbreakable. He had to get permission from Universal to incorporate Bruce Willis into the movie because they had the rights to the Unbreakable story, the film, because they're the ones that financed it and released it. But they gave M. Night Shyamalan the blessing to use it. So as a result, he was able to make a film with a shared universe that featured his brand of superheroes. But the movies themselves aren't really superhero films. Like Split is a psychological slash horror movie, and Glass is partly horror, partly drama, partly conspiracy thriller. So I guess when I watch Signs, I have to watch it in mind now with those aliens being demons. Which, by the way, KSS, if you ask me, I think those alien sightings in real life are actually demons. So you're probably not gonna have a hard time convincing me because I really think any aliens signs we see, any quote unquote visitations, is all a demonic deception. So it's all demonic deception. So we can talk about that later because that might open up a new other can of worms. um, as we enter the end times and the great deception on the people happens. But yeah, that's my quick review of the Unbreakable trilogy. I recommend the whole trilogy, though. I do recommend it. Unbreakable and Split are very solid, and the first 2/3 of Glass is also solid. But that final act in Glass really ruins it. It does, but it does have some good moments in it, and it does tie in the universe pretty well. One day I'll do a thorough review of those movies, especially Glass. I'll do a thorough review, and we could talk about it. Honestly, it kind of does suck that like I could do streams on movie reviews and talk to people and have like thought provoking conversations, but unfortunately that doesn't get the views, does it? James Newton Howard original score to Unbreakable and signs are insanely good, haunting, and effective. Just my opinion. No, I loved his music in Unbreakable. I really did. I thought it was solid, and again, it really helps with identifying with David Dunn's character. But okay, so the problem that I had, one of the problems I had with Glass is that Samuel L. Jackson's character is a mass murderer. Great performance, by the way, though, right? Samuel L. Jackson, like, it was a great performance, but his character making you feel sorry for him in Unbreakable, and then you find out that oh no, he's a guy that caused the deaths of tens of hundreds of people just to get Bruce Willis's character David Dunn to finally accept that he's a superhero because he wanted to, because Glass viewed himself as an arch villain and he needed an arch enemy, so he effectively created his arch enemies. He created David Dunn's character, David Dunn's superpowers, as well as James McAvoy's the Horde character, because the Horde's father was in the same train wreck that uh, Bruce Willis was in. Not the train wreck that created Bruce Willis, but it was in that train wreck where he had realized that yes, he has these powers, but that train wreck was caused by glass. He had some kind of like detonation device in there, and he boarded it, and then he killed all those people. That same train is where the Horde's father was in. He dies, and that death causes the Horde, rather Kevin was the actual person that McAvoy is his character is, causes him to go into a period where he creates, or rather he allows these split personalities to inhabit his body, ultimately resulting in the establishment of the Beast, and ultimately the conglomerate of the Horde. I need to see Glass Ace. Okay, so let me not spoil it further for you, Nazarban. I'm not going to spoil it more for you. I do want you to see it. I won't spoil it for you, but you tell me, Nazarban, you tell me your thoughts on it. I won't spoil it for you, but let me hear your thoughts. When you see it, I want to hear your thoughts on it. Let me see if you think as I think. Because what I'll say about Glass, it's a solid movie, very solid film, very engaging film up until the third act, and that's where it loses me, and that's where I'm like throwing shit at the screen. But you will watch it for yourself, and then you tell me what you think. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Hey, you might like it. You may say that the ending didn't really ruin it for you. You may like it. It's quite possible because there are people that feel that way. They feel like the ending didn't really ruin it for them. There are those reviews. Not with me though. My review is that it definitely ruins it. But like I said, it's a solid movie still. It is a very solid movie. So you watch it, then you tell me your thoughts. Mass Bandit. Okay, wait. KSS Unbreakable is a solid movie. I love Unbreakable. I had the DVDs of it. It's a very solid movie. I agree. Mass Bandit says, "Yeah, that's my bad. I should have seen that movie a long time ago. I used to be a movie buff, but I fell off hard before that movie came out. We'll watch very soon. Watch it ASAP, and then give me your thoughts." What was the end night movie about the grandparents? Asked KSS. The Visit, I think. I didn't like it. Thought it was dumb. How do the kids not know what their grandparents look like? I don't think I remember that movie. If I remember it, that means I didn't like it. If I did see it, because I remember the others, even though I forgot mostly like 90% of the movie, but I remember it enough to know that I enjoyed it. And I also remember Signs enough to know that I enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of solid too. But yeah, I am of the opinion that any alien phenomena that we hear about today is in reality demonic deception. I was a kid when I thought that aliens could exist, and I was hopeful that there could be a thing as aliens, and I thought it was kind of cool. Like the curiosity of me built up, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool if those were actual UFOs, and we actually had aliens, and they were involved with the development of the Great Pyramids and all of our um, landmark attractions, like the Sphinx and all that stuff, and the crops. The crop figures. But no, I don't believe aliens exist. I believe it's just all part of a demonic deception to take us away from the truth. The others is not an M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess yeah. I don't know why I thought it was. I guess because it was similar execution, which would kind of make it a ripoff if that's the case. But still, it was a solid movie. I think I remember enjoying it, but I don't know if I would watch it again. There are some movies that I'll like, but I'll never watch again. One of those is The Others. Not because it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just I've seen it, and it's probably not something I'll watch again. It's just there are movies that you could say that you like, but you'll never watch again because it doesn't satisfy an urge for you to watch it a second or third time. So, but getting back to the conversation about Shadow over Innsmouth. So H.P. Lovecraft does a good job of setting up the atmosphere of the scenery. The guy's on a remote village, and he talks about like the fishy scent, and you could already feel when you're reading it. You could feel the humidity in the island as the main character is going over the conditions of where he's at, trying to find solutions to his family tree, and he uncovers a dark secret regarding the island's secret religion. Not a secret, well, secret to the rest of the world, but it's a native religion where they part of what they call the cult of Dagon, who is this fish god. And yeah, Cthulhu gets a mention in the end of the book too. He does get a mention. It's tied to the War of Cthulhu. Let's see how many people watching the stream. There you go. Says we're at 10 viewers. Okay, so we got 10 watching. So some nights I'll have like 20 plus or whatever. Some nights it'll be just in the lower teens. So unless this picks up, it'll probably be within the lower teens, which is fine. No shame there. I just wanted to do this stream because really, once I finished reading Innsmouth, I'm like, yeah, I want to talk about this. I wanted to go live yesterday, but I was like, you know what? I said, let me just save it for today's stream, and I'll just watch Humanoids from the Deep, so we can tie it in the the story of the fish monsters. I'm gonna have to rewatch Island of the Fishmen, but I'm probably gonna figure out a way to watch or clip the prologue from the American version called Screamers, which has all the gore scenes that was shot for the American release, and then watch the Italian version uncut. But yeah, Island of the Fishmen is not a horror film. It's more like a fantasy adventure movie. Like it may have been advertised as a horror film, but when you see it, it doesn't feel like a horror film. No, when you see the American version and it has the prologue, yeah, that feels like a horror movie. I'll read the chat in a second. Masterpan asked me, Lastman, do you think this monster design was inspired in any way by the creature of the Black Lagoon? Because it kind of looks like it. Oh, it definitely was. It definitely was. There's no mistake about it. You know, it definitely takes a cue from Creature from the Black Lagoon for sure. But I also think it goes a callback to Shadow of Innsmouth, H.P. Lovecraft, with the mating. So not as scary as the last Matt's home movies, as says Tomothy. Well, Tomothy, see, here's the thing, Tomothy. You're in the band zone, so you're gonna stay in the band zone because you belong there. That's where you belong, in the band zone. And if you any way, shape, or form try to dispute it, Tomothy, I'll stop you. I will absolutely stop you. Don't think I won't. I absolutely will. Down to 7 but yeah, we're going down in viewership. It's gonna be one of those nights tonight. It's fine though. Like again, um and a lot of people are streaming right now, so there's that. Probably some drama happening. Who knows? There's probably some drama going on. So which explains a lot. It explains a lot. And now it's going back up. So you count going back up. So yeah. Nice quietness. Quietness. Yes, lots of quietness. Good thinking man's mood and ambiance. I honestly think Thursday is probably the busiest streaming night for creators in the indie spaces, Mass Panda. Yeah, the Monday Monster Moratorium streams, they like if I get 20 viewers, that's a good night for me for the Monday Monster Moratorium. But I seem to get more, slightly more, for the Indie Comic Outlier streams. There really isn't a lot of drama going on. Know what that means? We're in the calm before the storm. Well, KSS, I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you do because we had these conversations, but um, October is not that far away. And you know what's happening in October. And I don't mean Halloween because, yeah, that's always a given, but October, a certain fest is happening in October. So I got a feeling there's going to be quite a bit of a calm right now before a major storm. I really think that's going to come. We're already seeing the seeds of it being laid down for us. Back up to double digit. Where's the heart? Double digit viewers. So shout out to the fans. Shout out to you guys in the chats. But yeah, that calm is I mean, we've seen some slight hints of chaos this weekend. I think it's laying down the seeds, the groundwork, if you will, for an inevitable crash out. Shout out to Dollar Tree for these pens. These pens are pretty awesome. And they give my more prestigious pens a break from the pounding that they'll normally would get if I was using those instead. If only I didn't have to worry about the copyright, I could play some music and y'all enjoy the music while I continue drawing for you all. And then you wouldn't have to worry about my horrible singing. But you do, so screw you. I'm a beautiful singer. I have a golden voice. I sing beautifully. I think I do. I don't care what anybody says. I do. And if you don't think I do, then you're an asshole. And I judge you. And I absolutely will judge you. See, just like that, we're up to 14 live viewers now. Just like that. So shout out to the 14 that are watching. We were talking about the movie Humanoids from the Deep. That segued into a conversation about Shadow over Innsmouth, but then that segued into a conversation about other movies because that's how we roll here. That is the spirit of inspiration. And now you're watching me do a drawing of the Humanoid from the Deep, which is going into the Road Warrior Drake Horrible Art Film Review book. Which is going to review all the monster movies that I talk about here on the Monday streams, but as reviewed by Road Warrior Drake himself. Yeah, it says I know it's happening in October, but that's not what I'm referring to. We get comms, and then usually before the week is out, someone always does something really, really stupid, like clockwork. That Human from the Deep looks like he's delivering a political speech. You know what? I'll roll with that. I will accept that, Kizzy. I will accept that. I think I'm gonna also get to work on doing the writing review of this movie. Again, as reviewed by Drake himself. And then format and then try to use that formatting as a visual promotion for that book and get people start to get some investment in it. So yeah, that's where we're going with that. Let me go ahead and bring this closer. You guys can see the. If I didn't say any further, I would have. You guys would have believed I was doing an Adolf Hitler monster here. Bats in the chat. He says, "What's up?" Bats is one of the writers contributing to the Crisis on Independent Earths by John's Longbox. And I'm getting the error messages on YouTube about the pixelation, which doesn't last long. So I only ask that you guys hang in there for a bit. Let's see. To be honest, the Monday streams have made me want to revisit some of the older films, most of which I haven't seen since I was a kid. I wonder if I can get my wife on board. Well, Mass Panda, you may not, but all I ask is that you don't let that be a deterrent from you to enjoy those movies. It's not always a bad thing if our significant others don't like what we like. It's okay if he doesn't. You should not be shamed to like what you like. I find myself being uh, dissuaded, deterred, turned off from a lot of the newer films. I don't know. I just don't like the flashiness. I don't like the quick edits. I don't like everything looking shiny and shit. It's like it looks artificial. It doesn't look. It looks like I'm watching something that's bringing us closer to the apocalypse. The older films just makes you go back in time. It's a rewind button. Rewind. Kaz says a lot of that. We were talking about Planet of the Apes from 1968, a few shows back. Have you seen the black and white edit someone made? So it's like a classic Twilight Zone. It's on YouTube. I haven't seen. No, I haven't seen that. I know why they did it though, because Rod Serling wrote parts of the movie, including the ending. The ending is Rod Serling, so that doesn't surprise me. But no, I'll have to check it out. I was thinking about the Planet of the Apes saga the other day, and I'm like, I gotta watch it again. I've seen the saga quite a few times, but I gotta watch it again, especially like because I was looking at a discussion on Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the third film in the series, and like it's amazing how much quality those movies have. The Planet of the Apes films, like the third film, you would think like, by the time they got to the third film, they were just milking it, but no, they came up with some good ideas with the direction of the series and some very intriguing dialogue in that movie. Especially the scene where Dr. Hasline and the president of the U.S. are talking about the ethical dilemma of killing alien apes who themselves did nothing wrong except bring about the promise of the end of mankind by having a child, even though they themselves are innocent. It's like that was a very interesting scene because these characters are not cardboard characters. I'm talking about like Dr. Hasline and the president. They're not two-dimensional dull characters. They really are thinking characters, and it just adds to the drama and the urgency that the film presents while making you question your own ethics and morals. It's really a well-made movie, solid in every aspect of the word. Now, as Ben said, it's just that I work all the time. I mean, I work all week long and basically reserve Friday, Saturdays for movie time. And with my wife there, I find myself compromising. Maybe if I get some holiday time off, or you know what you do, Master Piano, because you can't neglect yourself. You just tell your wife, hey, listen, Friday and Saturday nights are for us, but we're gonna have to go halfway. So you can say Friday nights is your movie time, and then Saturday nights could be her movie time, which is really yours and her movie time. But you can give her the option on Saturday nights. But Friday nights is your movie time. I love watching horror and sci-fi films late Friday and Saturday nights. It was made for that. I'll get out my disc, my Blu-ray or my DVD, and just watch the movies I want to watch. Like me and Lady Shadow Man, we tend to compromise. Like if we do our back to back, then it's like Friday it'll be my time, and Saturday would be hers. Or if we watch two movies on one night, she picks and I pick. Rod Serling was a short guy too. He was about 5'5". That's why he was never seen standing by anyone in Twilight Zone. Oh yeah, I heard about that. He was pretty short. Mads Panda says, "You're so right. There's so much polished digital effects and digital camera usage in current film that modern movies no longer have that classic theatrical look. It makes me crave older work." So I made a DVD for myself of the 1989 Batman movie based on the 35 millimeter scan. Let me tell you that 35 millimeter scan of Tim Burton's Batman looks so much better than the DVD and the Blu-ray release. And I don't mean better in that it looks sharper and clearer. I mean better in that, as you stated, man, it looks more theatrical, more cinematic. And it's been said that the film look is more closer to the director's vision than polishing it up and cleaning it up and getting the super clean version that shows every detail to the point where it ruins the effects of the movie. And that's the thing with polishing up these older movies, because these older movies were not made to be polished up. That's been the dilemma that Blu-ray has opened up, is it takes older films that was not meant to be polished up, and it polishes them up and makes it look so like new that it also exposes some of the deficiencies in the special effects. And it was not meant to have that. It was not meant to be seen in that light. Tomothy says, "Congratulations, Master Panda, you're old." You know, Tomothy, you're a cruel man, Tomothy. You're very cruel. Master Panda will never be old. He is young at heart, sir. You better pay him respect, Tomothy, or you're never getting out of the band zone. You will stay in that band zone for life. Shout out to my 13 viewers still hanging here. Welcome to the Monday Monster Moratorium Show's boring Communitah draw stream, where I bore the piss out of you and draw. Shout out to those of you still typing in the chat. Up to 15. Tomothy says, "I just bought a house in the band zone." Well, guess what, Tomothy? You're paying property taxes there. So that house is not going to be yours anymore. Congratulations. The band zone's a communist zone, Tomothy. You just lost all rights to that property. You're paying property taxes for life, and if you don't, you're going to jail. So welcome to the band zone, which is a fully communist space. I bet you think that car you're driving in the band zone is yours, right? No, that belongs to the state government, Tomothy. You're banned. Nobody in the band zone has rights to their property. It belongs to the state because you're banned. Mads Bennett says, "Lasman, I think you're right about the idea that those films weren't really." Oh wait, chat's going fast. Hold on. Okay, I think you're right about those films weren't really made to be touched up. They did the best they could with those known technological limitations, and that was the film. Yeah, you know what? I watched an old. Well, I didn't watch it. It was included in. Okay, so the Turkish Star Wars film. It was the film that was utilized the stock footage from Star Wars, the original Star Wars. So the stock footage is clearly taken from like old film negatives, but it makes the special effects look so much more real because it's like you're looking at actual space footage with the Star Wars, and the old film stock really just hides the deficiency of special effects. It just looks like you're watching a real life NASA footage, but by cleaning it up, it does betray that. I try to watch that interview with the vampire TV show. It's pretty much everything I don't like about character types, themes, nuance. 17 watching, 3 of us are in the chat, 4 lurking, the rest are bots. Alasman bot. I'm on to you. I don't buy bots. You people don't give me money to buy bots. You people starve me of money. So no, I don't buy bots. I don't have money to buy bots because I don't get money from you people. You guys want me to do mukbang, and I'm like, I'm not doing mukbang for you degenerates. And you still insist I do mukbang. Otherwise, you're not gonna pay me. Sons of bitches. Shit. The drawing's coming out pretty solid. I like this drawing. Again, this drawing, along with all my other monster drawings, is going to go into the Road Warrior Drake Horrible Art Film Review book. And we'll have some original art for sale on that too when it comes time for the crowdfunding of that. Never seen Interview with a Vampire. Maybe one day. Okay. I mean, it has its fans. I get it, but I wasn't a fan of that movie. I like my vampires to be blood sucking animalistic creatures, not like glittery and shit. Like Interview with the Vampire did the glittery vampire thing before Twilight came out. $15 in the chat. Well, 15 watching. I think there's like 4 or 5 in the chat. But it's a busy chat otherwise. So shout out to you guys in the chat for being busy. If anything, it's helped me to be focused on the drawing. Because a busier chat, I'd be just distracted. And move it down up here. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. I think that'll be it for the monster itself. So now I'm going to do a Road Warrior Drake on the other end, and I'm going to split this up in the digital process to include the actual words of the review. I mean, I wouldn't say don't watch it, Massive Panic. Watch it for yourself, and you come up with your own conclusions. I'm probably not the target audience for that movie. We're talking about Interview with the Vampire, so like, don't really take my word for it. Just watch it for yourself, and then come to your conclusions. I mean, Anne Rice was a popular author, so there are people that liked the story. I just wasn't really one of them. But that's just me though. Yeah, Ken says I prefer my vampires to be villains. Yeah, I mean, again, I guess it goes back to the whole nihilistic comment that Fiona brought up about how like movies should be more nihilistic. Words are hard. More nihilistic than ever, and I think a lot of it's because we're afraid to have heroes in our stories. We're afraid to celebrate goodness. We're afraid to celebrate righteousness because righteousness goes against the grain of the writers who themselves aren't really righteous themselves. Like Hollywood is infected with Marxist degenerates that don't respect goodness and righteousness because they're about a political message. So they inject that crap into their movies, into the TV shows, and what you get is what you get. You get a healthy helping of Marxist propaganda and deconstructionism, which usually results in lost money and revenue because people don't want that shit. And then they come out and say, "Well, people aren't watching movies anymore because they're not interested in movies." No, they're not interested in what you're putting out there. See, Spider-Man: Brand New Day effectively proved that people will definitely pay money for a good movie. They just don't want to see your shit. They don't want to see. They're tired of your shit. They don't want to see your typical your usual. Um, the heroes are morally gray and the villains are misunderstood. Like nobody wants that. They want a return to virtuousness again. They want someone to root for. As much as guys complain about romanticy, grimdark is the oversaturation aimed at guy readers. I think Fiona, believe it or not, I think most guys would like a return to romanticy because when you think of the sword and sorcery movies like Conan, for example, like that in a way is a bit of a what you would call a romantic movie because it celebrates the good guy, bad guy, hot babe dynamic, and that's missing now. Okay, so I have the humanoid from the deep on this side. I'm gonna draw World Warrior Drake here. They're gonna be at different positions when I actually do the digital. But turns out S.E. Hinton was a chick, and she wrote The Outsiders when she was 15 or 16. That's why none of the males think or act like males. Um, I mean, I knew from junior high school when we were reviewing that book that it was written by a female. But Well, here's the thing about that. Did they act like? I won't say they act like female. They acted very emotional. Gang members tend to be very emotional because they weren't smacked around as kids in their home because probably because mommy protected them too much, and they grew up to be very ungrateful, entitled shitbags. Yeah, think about it. Let me have okay. Let me get a different pen for this one because this is going to be more solid ink. I can use one of the one of my more refined pens. Let's see. I will use what is this? What's this size? Okay, 0.7 millimeter. Yeah, this one. Now, I probably won't do all of his line art here. It'll probably add it digitally because I drew him a little too close to the humanoid from the deep here. So see it, but still, you'll get the idea. You'll get the impression of it once it's done. KSS says Ponyboy and Johnny go on the run. They go to an old abandoned church where Ponyboy reads "Gone with the Wind" to Johnny after they do each other's hair. Does this sound like something guys would do? Um, actually, KSS, yeah, yeah, especially like the urban gang crowd. They this is exactly the doing the hair part. Yeah, there's a lot of feminine traits in my male gangs. There is a lot of that. That's why gangs are gay. Yeah, that's why it's gay to be in a gang because it's really just a way of saying, "Hey, Daddy wasn't around for us. Daddy did teach us how to be respectable and honor um, authority and teach us like the value of working hard and giving purpose to your life and community. So we're gonna join a group and make it all about us because the world owes us. And prison is full of guys like that. Yeah, most of these gang members they're pretty weird looking. They're very weird looking. They don't do what straight, narrow minded, and by narrow minded I mean like focus minded, warm blooded males do. These are not the actions of those kind of males. This is definitely emotional type males. Heck, Tupac Shakur, very talented guy, but he was definitely feminine. He was raised by his mother. If you look at certain aspects of his behavior, it's very feminine. Even the way he was dressing at times was kind of sus. Okay, so also The Outsiders opens with Pono Boy watching a Paul Newman movie, and the way he described watching it doesn't sound like a kid admiring a film idol. It does sounds like he's gay of Paul Newman. That reminds me of an episode of Beavis and Butthead. I don't know if you remember this, cast. If you ever watched Beavis and Butthead, there's an episode of Beavis and Butthead where Beavis and Butthead were like very admiring of this guy called Todd, who was like I guess like a next level thug, white trash thug, and Mike Judge literally drew them with hearts coming out. I was like, wait, what the fuck is Mike Judge telling me here? And I was like, oh, I guess they have this like affinity for this Todd character because I guess that's who they aspire to be like. Beavis and Butthead. So again, I think you're thinking, KSS, that the gang life are guys who are red blooded and top of the line masculine. They're really not. They're much more feminine than you think. And I learned that after seeing how Tupac Shakur acted and how like the gang life was imposed upon him, not just by his mom, but like later by Suge Knight up until his death or his murder. So yeah, it is a thing, you know. For better or for worse, it's a thing. And now that I think about it, it probably was not a bad idea for a woman to write a novel about a gang of boys because a lot of boys join gangs because of daddy issues, because daddy's at home, or because they're raised by mommy and mommy has taught them to be very entitled. Again, look at Goodfellas. Look how Goodfellas. Look at Goodfellas. The scene where they're where when I think of the scene where Henry goes over to Paulie, right, and asks for help. This is towards the end, and Paulie tells him, "This is all I can give you, and I got to turn my back on you." And Henry starts bawling like a bitch. I'm like, this is not the actions of a straight man. Like, it's not, you know. But it's like, yeah, the gang life does something where it really just, it's a rejection of patriarchal figure in your life. Yeah, I mean, it replaces that with the mob dons, and I guess they become the patriarchal figure, but it's still a rejection of it because of how emotional you become and when you're in the gang. I mean, look at Joe Pesci's character, Tommy. Tommy was very emotional, irrationally emotional to the point of murder, and it cost him his life. I think I stunned people with that revelation because nobody's typing. They're like, "What?" Yeah, it's true. It's true. Actually, no, having Drake and the humanoid interact this way, actually, it might be fun. I should just keep it this way. I think I'll keep it this way. Go ahead and add a. Get one of these thinner line. Here we go. 45. We're up to 11 now. We're down 10. Now we're back up to 11. And then watch when it's time for me to end the stream. I'm gonna get back people. People are gonna come back and say, "Hey, last Matt, start the stream. I'm here." I'm like, "No, you were supposed to be here 2 hours ago." So it's 11:34. I'm almost done with this, and then we'll call it a stream. Tag. I'll have to fix the fix this up a little bit here. So I'll fix that in the digital. I'm not gonna go too nuts over it, but I have enough information to go over this, so that checks out. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and color the vest. I'm gonna be done with one of the thicker ones, the 1.5, because it'll be a thicker color. So okay, it says first, Goodfellas isn't a documentary; it's a film. It's a film based off of an actual event, though. Like that was a film based off of Henry Hill's memoirs from his time with the mafia. So it was based off a true story. And I have every reason to believe Henry Hill cried the way Ray Liotta cried, acting as Henry Hill when Paulie said he was done with him. Okay, good for one that took many dramatic liberties that Martin Scorsese acknowledged. But here's the thing: Martin Scorsese is not a female. So there you go. Second, KSS says, okay, second, Tupac Shakur was not a formal initiated member of a street gang, but he became heavily affiliated with the mob Pure Bloods through his signing to Death Row Records and got real feminine. He was that way before he got that way. So he wasn't really part of a gang, but again, the gang life attracted him because without a father figure in his life, and the fact that he was very feminine inspired, well, there you go. Like, there needs to be a thesis, and I'm sure there is somewhere, a thesis on the feminine um, traits of being in a gang if you're a guy. Because in a solid patriarchal society, gangs would not thrive. It would be not only would it be frowned upon, but it would be dissolved real fast. But we're not in a solid patriarchal society, are we? Because patriarchy is mocked, insulted, and in some cases criminalized in our ever increasing draconian socialist utopia that we are now living in. Henry Hill and the guys who were involved said the film wasn't accurate. Well, again, going back to my original point, like Bessie Hinton was a female who wrote the gang members effeminate, but yet Martin Scorsese is not a female; he's a man, and the gang members were very emotional, which is a feminine trait. Very emotional. And yeah, I'm over Goodfellas wasn't like accurate. Like for example, Tommy's death was not exactly the way it went down in the film. Like his death, like in the movie, they talk about how he had a closed casket funeral, and they made the point of the Billy Batts' uh guys shooting Tommy in the head just so he wouldn't get an open casket funeral. Well, in real life, Tommy was never found. Like they killed him, but they took his body. His body was disposed of, and they never found his body. So in a way, it was a bit more finite and probably more gruesome than the movie actually showed. Okay. Let me just add some touches, and then this will be done. Just putting the finishing touches on this. I'll deal with the eraser marks later. I want to let some of the inks in of the humanoid dry up a bit before I erase it, and then I'll go ahead and scan this, put it in my folder for the Horrible Monster Art Review book. No, Horrible Art Review. That's what it's called. It's called the Horrible Art Review. Okay. All right, so let me just pull this up back a little bit. So this is the piece right here. This is gonna go in the Horrible Art Review book when I do the segment on humanoids from the deep. Right. So I'll remove the camera for this. It'll be easier. So yeah. So there's Drake in the left. Here's the humanoid from the right, and the review will probably be up above them, so you'll get to see Drake interacting with the fish scent of the uh, humanoid. Yeah, Kaya says Tupac was very feminine before joining a gang, but again, that goes back to my point: is that these gangs attract. If they don't make you feminine, they attract feminine boys. There's a reason for that because they're led by their emotions, and it's easier to manipulate an emotional male than a solid stacked male. His mom was far leftist and was a big into political movements in the 60s. Yeah, I know about that. Yeah, she was a member of the Black Panthers. Tupac's mom. She was a Black Panther, and they were very heavily Marxist, especially when the Marxists infiltrated the movement even further, and they went full on like commie. The Black Panthers did. Um, yeah, whenever you get a biopic, they always take dramatic liberties. They have to. They only use a couple of hours to tell a full story of a bunch of people. Yeah, one of the biggest movies that did that was the Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. That was like 20% factual and like 80% bullshit. Fun movie. It was a great movie. It was an excellent produced, solid movie. Great humanist story. But if you're a fan of Bruce Lee, that movie was not you know, it did not do him any really favors in terms of like telling the full story of who Bruce Lee was and what have you. But still, solid movie. I'm not gonna say it wasn't solid. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a stream. It was fun. I got my objective met. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Those that stuck around, appreciate you. Y'all have a great night. I will see you. If I don't see you before Thursday, I will see you at Thursday for the Indie Comic Outliers. And before I leave, let me recast this comment. Well, Tupac was drawn to the gang life because of Death Row Records. He's a song and dance guy. Um, no, he was kind of drawn to it before. I mean, he wasn't like a full fledged gang member back then, but and obviously his affiliation with Suge Knight sped up his death for sure. But all right. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a stream here. Y'all have a good night. Take care, and I'll end it with everyone's favorite intro. Toodles, and I'll see you on Thursday for Indie Comic Outliers. Take care.